Hello guys, me Polly, and today I'm going to be doing my first video on Piggy Theory. And this Piggy Theory video is going to be about Mrs. P. Now we don't know too much about Mrs. P, but we know that she was a wife of the scientist of Mr. P. But how did Mrs. P get infected? Because when Mr. P gave her the cure, it actually helped. But that means Mr. P actually had a side effect from this. And then, after chapter 12, we never heard about Mrs. P ever again. We never see her or hear about her ever again. Ever since chapter 12 has ended. We can see that Mrs. P was really valued to Mr. P, as you can see in the true ending. So this Piggy Theory is about Mrs. P. And I guess it's safe to say that Mrs. P has died. But I think that she could make a return infected. So if she makes a return infected, she can be better than Mr. P. Because if Mrs. P finds a cure, and actually cures herself, she can help Mr. P. Because it's not confirmed that Mr. P is dead. Now, if Mrs. P has gotten infected, she finds actually a cure and drinks it. That means she can come uninfected and help Mr. P help the infection go away. Because since she drank the infection, she'll know what it tastes like. So, she'll know what the cure tastes like. And also, she can tell what the cure ingredients are. Because Mr. P is a scientist, which leaves Mrs. P not to be a scientist, but I'm pretty sure Mr. P taught her some science stuff. So, let's continue with the third thing. As we all know, Mrs. P has been a short part of the Piggy lore, but it seems that she is in a hospital, but that hospital is actually a certain type of hospital. That was the hospital with Barry. If that was Barry's hospital, that means Barry could have turned infected and scratched Miss P before Mr. P gave her a potion. Because as we know, Mr. P did not give her the potion when the Piggy family turned infected. So that means he probably tested on Barry. It turned out that it did the same thing. So, it's being safe to say that Mrs. P could have got scratched. Because actually, if you see her arm, and she didn't have a scratch mark on her arm, so that is confirmed that it's a potion. But we don't specifically know recommendedly, because in chapter 8 we see the Mrs. P panic, which we also see in chapter 12. But Mrs. P was never brought up in chapter 8 or any chapter before that. And the last time we seen Mr. P before chapter 12 was school. And if that was school, that means he had to come to school for a reason. That was for one reason. He only came to school for one reason, and that was Bunny. But what would he want with Bunny? Bunny and Mrs. P were longtime friends. So, yeah, and Bunny wanted to help her wife because Bunny was friends with Mrs. P and Mr. P. So, that means that what did Mr. P actually want with Bunny? Because she wouldn't willingly try the potion knowing it would turn her infected. So that means she didn't drink the potion Bunny didn't. That means Mr. P threw the potion at him. So yeah, and actually, if you actually look at Bunny, she actually has a scratch on her eye. So that means it couldn't even be a potion at all. It could be a scratch that the player didn't know about. And that's why she wears the eye patch. But let's go back to Mrs. P. Mrs. P was a very loyal character, I would say. She was very kind in the whole entire P war besides Mrs. P. Mr. P. Mr. P was so agile when the infection happened. But Mr. P's not infected, but he's the one that started it. So that means he must have kept himself safe somehow. But he was trying to kill us, the player. But why? He had no reason to kill us. And this is why he became angry for his wife. So, yeah, that's gonna be that. So now, Mr. P wants to kill us. Who lost with his wife. And also trying to fight the infected. And it later seen in the book too that we die. Because Willow would betray us. So, if that's true, then you never know where we could be at now. Because if Minitoon releases a book 30, I want to see Mrs. P in it. Because I need to know more about Mrs. P. Because Mrs. P is really nice, really not seen character. Now, we can't actually play as Mrs. P. But, you know she's infected, so she could be a bio character. But, that's the thing. Mr. P is also not. Mr. P is not infected. But he got his own skin. But, Mrs. P could be a secret skin like Mr. P was. But, I guess not. Because I'm assuming Mr. P, after chapter 12, that was her loss, but she was gone forever. But we know Mrs. P in chapter 8 in the carnival. Because we know Mrs. P actually liked the carnival. Because she would go there every day with Mr. P and ride the rides. Because Mr. P owned the carnival, and they would ride the rides, and Mrs. P was one of the workers, and she was, letting them ride the rides, paying for them, So, that means Mrs. P actually had a job before, and knowing that she worked at a carnival, someone could have gave her the sickness. So, that is actually really interesting, because this is the first episode of Piggy Lore about Mrs. P. But, there is one confusing thing, is Mrs. P doesn't have much view in the actual book Ling. Because she only shows up in 2 appearances, which is chapter 8 and chapter 12. But, if Mr. P brings something up about her, or Mrs. P, whatever you want to call it, what does he want with her? If she's infected. And that's the only reason he's trying to find the cure, just to open up his life again. Get them back together. But it seems like that's not gonna happen. Because in the end of chapter 12, we see that Mr. P's hat is gone. So that means Mr. P and Mrs. P could be dead forever. Because there's no way that Mr. P survived with all those infected. Mrs. P had nothing. And also, Mrs. P had 2 jobs actually. She worked at the carnival, and she also had a flower selling job. That's why you see her with a flower. She sells flowers, and then she sells flowers for a really long time. And she worked at carnival. She was person, so yeah, let's do that. And then after she died, the carnival got abandoned, and then Clowny was there. But why was Clowny there? Because if he was infected, he could have left. But actually, Clowny was trapped in a cage. Because Clowny was trapped in a cage and could not get out. And when he turned infected, he finally got out. But since he was in the cage so long, he keeps guarding the carnival and abandoned. And the green tent, like I said, the red tent where you get the key card? That is where Mrs. P worked at her flower shop. Because that painting was supposed to be there. But the painting seemed to be in a different place. And that picture was in the carnival. So it is confirmed that Mrs. P worked at the carnival. So that means we got a lot of interesting things today. So if that is that, it means Mrs. P is dead and some of the shops are abandoned. And there's 2 shops abandoned. And Mrs. P sells flowers and sell the games. So that means Clowny and Mrs. P were the only people there. Because, Mrs. P had to go work at Scientist. So if Mrs. P and Clowny was the only one there, how do we know Clowny didn't infect her? Because she seemed to be at the carnival before that. And we never knew she was infected before that. So that means they're the piggy lord.